Hi, we're Visible. We're the wireless company with nothing to hide. Seriously, hidden fees?
Two retired people, just not old, just retired. You didn't retire from work, you retired to life.
Don't miss an opportunity like this. This is awesome.
It was great.
I mean, we've never been in anything like this. This has been teamwork. We've been putting some rocks where we needed to step across. An awesome little trip through the canyon here.
You guys are keeping me young.
At one point, it started to rain, and my biggest concern was that the dirt road would get washed out before we could get back to the highway. As you can see, my family wasn't too stressed and stopped for a picnic. Right then, the sun broke through the clouds into the canyon, and I knew it was all worth it.
Here she comes, my little sunshine. Oh, and my little hiker girl.
You run, it's way easier to jump across.
It was one of those wow travel moments. One of those times when you realize if you had played it too safe, you would have missed it. We barely made it off the dirt road before the rain hit. We're stopping at our second state park called Kodachrome Basin State Park. Kodachrome got its name from the Kodak color film of the same name to honor its vibrant red sandstone. This quirky little park has some nice nature walks and strange formations abound.
Kodachrome State Park. I never heard of that state park. Maybe
We're closing out our day at the wonderful restaurant with the strange name. Escalante Outfitters outfits all those grand staircase slot hikers, but also takes care of their hunger with the best pizza for hundreds of miles.
How is it?
It's Italian.
Molly says she likes American pizza, but not Italian pizza.
Agreed.
Okay.
On the way here, one was
Kind of bitter, huh? We are spending the night here in Escalante as we've got some great hikes tomorrow, and we've done some hiking around today, and so it was really nice to end our day here at the Escalante Outfitters. We'd heard great things about the pizza, and it did not disappoint. They had some really unique flavors, and I got to try the apple pecan salad, which was one of the best salads I've ever had. We ordered so much pizza, and we had 0 leftovers, so I guess that speaks volumes about how good it is.
Today we're going to start in Escalante and end our day with a sunset at Capitol Reef. Most people fly through this section, but we've given ourselves an extra day to explore some often overlooked places. And I'm so glad we did because it gave us an experience to remember. We're staying at Slot Canyons Inn, which I only chose because it was one of the few places that could handle my large family. We had no idea it would be one of the highlights of our trip, thanks to the owner, Joelle Marie. Joelle and her husband, Jeff, purchased the property in the 1980s so they could live near family. It took some time, but she learned to appreciate the desolate landscape here.
We fell in love with the Native American pictographs and petroglyphs on the cliff.
But one day, her husband got the harebrained idea to open a bed and breakfast. Joelle was surprised but supportive, and after a lot of effort, they got it started. Shortly after opening the B&B, Joelle's husband got dementia, and a few years later, he passed away. Joelle figured she would sell the property, but felt her husband was helping her run the B&B from the other side. That's when she discovered more of the incredible history found on her own property.
So I met some archaeologists in town, and I mentioned that we had pictographs and petroglyphs on our cliff, and they said, "We'll come out and have a look," and they knew that there was something here, and it was going down a long way. They dug for parts of 3 summers, and they got down to the bottom of the human layer, which was 12 feet, and the last carbon dating was 9,000 BC. So people have been here for a long time. I have a hard time wrapping my head around it.
During the dig, they discovered wild potatoes. These potatoes are the reason this valley was named Potato Valley, but they've been gone from the valley a long time. This discovery on Joelle's property has led to a renewed interest in growing these ancient potatoes, and this year the town will celebrate its 3rd annual Wild Potato Days.
They're being grown by a lot of Native Americans down in the Four Corners area.
Joelle is a very spiritual person who finds meaning in many things, including the petroglyphs that are found on the cliff wall on her property.
The archaeologists were digging, and there's an interesting pictograph, horses and riders. So the first one is bright reddish orange, and he's facing 3 others, and they kind of go up. The first one has some color, and then they get lighter, and the last one is like silvery white. And Paiute Indian men came, and they said, "Isn't it interesting the way this pictograph faded?" And he said, "It didn't fade, it was painted that way. The bright colored man is the mortal, and the others are the spirits coming down to help him." So the first one maybe his father or grandfather, and then, back a couple of generations. And I'm hanging on to that. I figured Jeff can help me more where he is now.
He started the dream and you finished it.
I'm trying.
Our room was fantastic and Joelle's breakfast was delicious. We loved our stay at Slot Canyons Inn, and we would highly recommend it to anyone visiting Escalante, Utah.
Mrs. Meyer's Clean Day. Delightful garden scents to brighten your home.
Need to replace Monkey? With Chewy Auto Ship, get it delivered again and again. And get 35% off your first auto ship order.
The 3 for Me, only at Chili's, is now available with the all-new Big Smasher Burger. Or you can settle for a drive-thru. Plus, get fries, a drink, and bottomless chips and salsa for just $10.99. See you later, tiny drive-thru burger. This Chili's 3 for Me is the best $10.99 you can eat.
Where'd you next? Captain Crunch! It's the foot!
Time to crunch!
Before we leave Escalante for good, we're making a short stop at Escalante Petrified Forest, our 3rd state park.
We are at the Petrified Forest State Park, and we're walking, and I'm like, all the trees here are alive. I don't see any petrified trees. Then I look down, and these are the petrified trees. You don't have to do a lot of work to see a petrified tree here at the Petrified Forest State Park.
The big question is, it took a long time to make this forest. They had to grow big, they had to die, and then what stopped the wood from decaying?
This is our mission. We need to find out how wood becomes petrified. So it's super rare that you get an entire fossilized tree. And they found this one nearby, moved it to the state park to display it.
Honestly, we mainly stopped to check off another state park from our list, but we were very pleasantly surprised at the views and the incredibly colorful rocks in the Rainbow Forest.
I can appreciate some petrified wood, but geology is not something interesting to me.
The Petrified Forest offers a 1-mile hike with nice views, with an option to extend it another mile. The back mile is challenging, but it's where you'll find the rainbow rocks. Make sure to get the very informative trail guide before you go. So, did we solve the mystery of the magical Petrified Forest?
You have to have a volcano. The volcano erupts and puts volcanic ash on top of the trees that have fallen over, percolating water coming up through the ground, and as the wood decays, the pores are being filled in with minerals, silica sand, ash, and they're buried. And then over time you have wind erosion, snow, rain, and it uncovers this here, and it's a deposit of minerals, is basically what it is. Massive amounts of volcanic rocks up on the trail. And the 14 stops we took, I stopped and read every one of them. It's just amazing what you read on these little, it only takes 1 minute to read on each stop.
Did you know we're going to drive over the volcano today?
I didn't know that.
So what are our final thoughts about this little state park?
I give it 2 thumbs up.
And that's what this park is. It's rejuvenating. I'm not fighting crowds. I'm not having to think too much about visiting the Petrified Forest State Park. I get to come, enjoy, hike, see nature.
It's time to close the book on Escalante, but we're just getting started on the scenery for today. Next up is another fun family spot, the Devil's Garden. We have stopped at another place in Grand Staircase Escalante National Monument. That's a mouthful, but fun little stop for kids. I'll let Cooper explain it to us.
Pretty much what you do is the whole time you just climb on rocks, and our family plays this game.
We happen to visit during an extremely windy few days, so we don't get to hear Cooper explain Where's Waldo, but I'll discuss our little family tradition a little later at the ultimate Where's Waldo venue. After all that hiking and scrambling around, it's time to relax and enjoy a scenic drive. We're traveling on Scenic Route 12, the road that connects Bryce Canyon to Capitol Reef National Park. As someone who loves scenic drives, this is one of my favorites. The road winds through Red Rock and White Rock sections, then climbs to the top of a ridge called the Hog's Back, where many people white-knuckle it all the way through while staring down into canyons on both sides. Utah is just out of this world. We are here on Route 12. This is the only all-American road in Utah. I don't really know what an all-American road means, but they sure brag about it being an all-American road. The camera doesn't do this justice. This is just vast expanse here. It's the $1 Million Road, that's what they called it, which connected Escalante to this little town of Boulder that we're going to visit in a minute. Carol was so excited about this road, she was doing a little dancer in there. Jig. It's so worth driving this road just for the experience. And remember the volcano that helped create the Petrified Forest? Route 12 traverses Boulder Mountain, so named because it created all the volcanic boulders found everywhere in this area. This mountain behind me is Boulder Mountain. This is the one that exploded and left all that volcanic rock over at Escalante Petrified Forest State Park that we saw earlier, which is kind of a cool geology in perspective lesson here. And another cool thing is behind me here is Capitol Reef National Park. This is all the red rock in the foreground here. And then behind that is the Henry Mountains. These tall towering Henry Mountains with the white cap peaks. That was the last mountain range discovered and mapped in the lower 48 states. That's kind of cool. On the other side of the Henry Mountains is Canyonlands National Park and Moab and Arches and all that, which we are going to be at in just a couple of days. We've arrived at the city of Boulder, Utah, home to about 200 residents. This town is so far removed from anything that its claim to fame is that they were the last city in the country to receive their mail by mule. It was so isolated that it wasn't even affected during the flu of 1918, and they didn't even get electricity until 1947. Its advertising slogan is, Boulder, your gateway to quiet. But you'd be surprised what this town has to offer. It's near a gorgeous road called the Burr Trail, and you can see some Native American ruins and artifacts at Anasazi State Park, our fourth state park on this trip. A farmer lived here and discovered foundations, kivas, and arrowheads on his property. The park has now preserved these and constructed a replica structure to explore. The ruins date back about 1,000 years, and some of the artifacts are much older.